for the sale. How much are you valuing your business? Is it a business? And this is a form of communication.
Yeah, I agree. And then when we get into the emails, and I really need to go over mine again. So I'm glad we're having this conversation. And just for those listening, this isn't something that's one and done. Unfortunately, there are a lot of things in our business that we can set and forget, but this isn't one of them. Like, as we communicate and as we learn our clients and our prospects better, we're always having to upgrade our communication and the way that we do it and the message and things like that. So I need to go back through my communications and just make sure to give them a little refresh, right? And when I do that, Nicole, one of the things that I like to do, and if you get my emails, you know this, I like to have multiple touch points in my emails. And why? Well, because when I came online, when I started building a business 2.5 years ago, I think they were saying then that you had to have 17 touch points with somebody before they would interact with you and think about becoming a customer. And so what I do is I go in and I add, maybe it's a link back to one of my blogs or a link to an article or a link to an event, but I add things that they can touch and open in another screen. So there are lots of touch points in there, links to get on a call, things like that. I just like to make sure that there are things like just interactive links. Maybe it's even just a PDF they can download, or maybe it's a link to an exercise. I know last year for my birthday, one of the links that I sent out was a link to meditation that I had purchased and I wanted to share with all of my followers for my birthday. So just things like that that help build relationships because you're giving extra value, and value that you're giving outside of your own actually compounds your deliverability and your value that they see, that they perceive, right?
Absolutely. You want to attract these people, and this is how we're doing it. The more they see you, the more touch points you have, the more you're talking to them, the more you're connecting with them. You'd pick up a phone, right? And we can't pick up a phone on a list of 3,000, right? You can't pick up a phone on a list of 25,000. So how else are you going to stay relevant? And I think that's what you do with your what is it? Your Sunday journal or something where you're
Yeah,
talking about
my
your
CEO
business.
journal. Yep.
Right. So when you're talking about your business and talking about how that works, when I send newsletters out, sometimes it's talking about where I started in my journey of sometimes it's even those points of frustration when you're doing the thing and you're like, hey, I don't know what I'm doing, or I'm absolutely overwhelmed, and here's the mistake I made so you don't have to. Because sometimes it's those questions we don't ask, right? You want to attract those clients, you want to be in their face. And that's what this is absolutely doing. When you're influencing your audience, you've got to get on camera. And if you're going for 3 months, right? We're in our third month this year, and here's what we're doing with Voice Lab. It's a small push to get out there. It's
Yeah.
less, we're
We're
influencing
in
our
our
audience. What?
fourth month. This is
Fourth
April.
month, it's April already.
No,
I
I'm so
know.
excited. And
Gosh.
when you say
Gosh.
that we talk about the struggles we have, that's interesting you say, because when I was putting my newsletter together last night when I was coming off of the flu bug, and I talked about the fact that I had to cancel my master class because I had the flu, and so just different things like that. This is your opportunity to be relatable while also adding value. And I think that that's huge. What links do you put, Nicole? I know you put links in yours that are to join events, or listen to or participate in events, things like that. What other links do you have in yours?
In my newsletters, so I have a section to contact me, right? So at the bottom of my newsletter, even if I'm just promoting an event, or whether it's my normal Monday newsletter, I put the a link always to get on my calendar, because it's all about getting seen and heard. And I want you to get on the stage, or I want you to, you know, craft your stage. So if I'm helping you and assisting you, you can find me when you're ready to come in and say, hey, Nicole, I want to do an event. I want to do a podcast. How does this whole thing work? I want to do a summit or a workshop. Nicole, how does all this stuff work? Well, when you're looking at that, or talking about giving a master class on Voice Lab, in the school platform, when you're doing that, you got to be able to get a hold of me. And I don't want to be the best kept secret. I'm giving you all this great information. You need to be able to connect with me. So I absolutely drop my scheduling link in there, especially if I'm putting out for a summit and speakers, which we have a few more speakers spots left on the authority code and plot twist. And so you guys, message me, DM me if you're on LinkedIn. Just reach out. You can reach out to me. All my information's on YouTube as well. I put that information in there. I put my LinkedIn in there and the school platform in the group because you can do absolutely the easiest ways to reach out to me. And that's what I want. I want to connect with you. I want to be there. And I see that I think that's a mistake sometimes when people don't do that. They don't put their branding in their newsletter. They don't put, because if you're reading through something and then you think maybe it's the client you're getting on the phone with and it's a different, maybe it's Mark you're getting on a one-to-one call with, so you think it's his newsletter, you want to read a little bit about him so you're ready for the call, right? You want to kind of cyber stalk and go through the Webernet of things and get to know the person you're talking to. It's a makes for a better connection. Maybe you're reading their newsletter and realize it's a different Mark. And so, but you don't realize that until you're halfway through the newsletter because they never put any branding on there. They didn't put any connection information. I can't click a link and go to your LinkedIn page. I want to know more about you. So I absolutely and Go High Level is great with this. You can add the link to the photo. So
I
the
was just
big,
going to say that. I'm so glad you
yeah,
said that.
the big photo I put on top, if
Click a
I'm
link.
telling you join the event, and it's free, click the photo, and it especially works on the phone too. And then there's links throughout the feed, and then there's links on the bottom, so there's at least three places for you to just get click happy with and go
Oh,
to the event.
Nicole, you're so humble. I feel like there should be 5 to 7. I think there should be 5 to 7 links. And when I came online, so most of you know that I started in the brick and mortar business world 37 years ago, and I've had a bazillion, no, only 8 brick and mortar businesses. Love those, but it's a little bit different online. And so when I came online, one of the first newsletters I got, the gentleman who I subscribed to would give you content ideas every week or templates every week, things like that in his newsletter. They would be intermixed, kind of like an Easter egg. So you kind of had to hunt a little bit for it. But I love that. And I stayed subscribed for a long time for that. Now, our friend, Nicole and I's friend, Billy Salmons, he always does an introduction in his as well. And so it's like, hey, the person I met this week that I think you need to know, and then a link back to them. And so that's also another way of borrowing their audience too. So that's another way that you can put links in there. And I have a couple strategies I'm going to implement this quarter for a new link that I'm going to put in mine. I've also shared tools and resources, and not because I get an affiliate from them, because most of them I don't, but just to be able to say, hey, you know what? So and so told me about Manus, and I use Manus now. I love Manus, or Claude, or maybe it's Restream that somebody taught me how to use, or Riverside, just a tool that I use. One time I actually came on and I shared a link to Octobuddy. Now listen, you don't make but 16 cents or something if you sell an Octobuddy for Amazon. But this bad boy sticks on the back of your phone like that, and you can stick it on any glass surface to do your recording. So a window, in your car, in your office, somewhere it changes the lighting for you. It's an amazing little tool. But I'm always adding little things like that just to be helpful, maybe something you didn't know. And I've never had anybody complain about those, but I love the fact that we can have a strategy where we're getting lots of touch points, where we're really sharing as if we're with friends, right? Because if you have this knowledge, even though you think it's maybe a little bit mundane, when you share it with others, it increases your value. And if you were to go to lunch with your girlfriends and you were to sit down and just talk about your week, of course you would talk about all these things with them. How did your business intersect with your life? What new tool did you learn or use? What resource did you absolutely love, which would be like an article or a blog post or some informational bit of things? Who did you meet that you'd love to share with the world? And what do you have going on in the next week? I mean, these are things you can just put in there. And like Nicole said, if there's somebody that doesn't like it, there's an unsubscribe button. And you can also, like Nicole was saying, you can make an opt-out form. And an opt-out form gives them the option to opt out of the many different things that you share. And so I think mine has 5 different things on it that they can opt out of. And when they do, I'm so grateful every time somebody uses that opt out form, because when they use that, then I can go back and take them off of those lists and really segregate my list. So I'm sending them exactly what they want. To be honest, there are people that only get my newsletter. There are people who only get my follow up from when I speak. There are people that only want to be on there for me to connect them to other people for networking. And that's great too, however they want to have that relationship, I'm allowing them to build the boundaries around that and giving them the respect of doing that. And then when I send my email, I select the correct list of people to send it to. So I'm not hitting everybody with everything, right? And so I think that's hugely key in building out your email list and really interacting with people, is to make sure that you can segregate it and hit the right people with the right thing.
Right. And it's a gold mine. And what you're talking about with sharing something. And then people go, when you're talking about your Octobuddy, first of all, you're making money off of it. Secondly, right, you're affiliating it.
Yep.
You're making money. So you're making money from couple different places. And then you want to also realize that, just like you said, you're telling your friend, you ever have that friend go, you didn't tell me about that really cool thing. Where'd you get those jeans? Where'd you get that Octobuddy? I want to know about it. I want to know about Restream. And I tell people, because I use this as, when I restream and I use it from Zoom, I tell people, hey, here's how you use it. Here's why I use it. And here's why I don't use something like StreamYard at this point in my business, because it's unnecessary. I don't need it. And this is when you start to realize this is how you kind of add this into your business, and you're implementing different streams of income. And this is what we're doing. We're changing the pace of how do we use these gold mines. You don't have time for 3,000 people to connect to, but you do have time for those people that choose to respond. And it helps not only your message, because you're in an aligned state of the people that you're working with, but it also helps your stats, because if those people never open it, then they're not there. So what about that? When people aren't opening that, because you've got to get on the stage, you've got to speak, you got to know that not everybody's ready for you now, they may be ready for you later. And this is the reason. Otherwise, you wasted your time speaking. Why
Yes.
get on the stage?
Let's talk about them not responding, because some people just don't, and that's fine. Other people you really care about, you're like, hey, we got on a call and I really valued what we shared, and why are you not responding to me? And so what I've done, and I have a few people that I'm still friends with that will tell you, I just call them out. I send an email that's like, apparently you didn't feel the same way. They open it and I'm like, okay, I thought we had something great when we connected, but now I see you're not opening my emails. And I really would like to interact with you about this or that or the other, whatever that is. So all you need to do is reply to this and let me know what's going on. If you've moved up in life, leveled up, you don't want to build a relationship with me, whatever that looks like, just let me know. And oddly enough, people usually respond and they're happy to respond, but you have to have that hook in your subject line that really says, hey, open this, or why are you ignoring me, or something to that, or you're making me sad. I think that's the one I sent to Billy, said, you're making me sad. And he's like, oh my gosh, why did I make her sad? And he's like, oh, because I didn't answer her email. Well, let's answer that. And I think, Nicole, before we jump into the stages part, let's just go back a little bit and talk about, you can't necessarily, I think that you should send 3 to 5 emails a week. That's my thought. Everybody has a different pattern. The truth of the matter is, whatever pattern you establish in sending your emails is going to be what your prospects expect. And so you set that expectation. That's on you. It needs to be enough that you stay top of mind, and enough that you're sharing all of the value that you have, right? It needs to be a multi-touch email strategy where they can touch for all the different things. Think of your email list as your friend group. These are the things that you're going to share about your business. So it's your business friend group. You're going to share where you are in your business, what's coming up that's new, what worked, what didn't work, any tools, resources you have, any cool people you met, where they can find you and how to connect with you, right? And then your long tail conversions. And so what that is that you're going to keep talking the same thing, not just shorten, but the long version of it, because it does convert eventually. And then persistence, you need to be patient. Do we have a clip about that? I thought we had a clip about patience. Do we have an Alex clip about
We
patience?
have a clip, but I can't play it with the setup right now because it's not gonna. We'll use it the next time.
Okay. So
Mhm.
anyway, sometimes it's a patience game and it's not just doing it and then being frustrated over it, right? And so many of us, frustration is totally human. And I get it because when we're standing face to face with someone communicating, we want them to make eye contact. We want them to acknowledge us either by body language or by words that they heard us. And you don't get that with an email list. So you have to learn patience. Patience over being impatient. You just got to keep at it and keep being diligent, keep sharing. And the important part about doing it weekly is you have a lot more to share that way and you're not skipping things. If you go a long time without seeing your friends and you jump in, you're like, oh, and da da da, and they're like, wait a second, I didn't even know you were doing that. Well, if you're sending this weekly and letting them know where you are in your business, they're not going to have that moment when they're like, what are you talking about? Because you're taking them on a journey with you, right? And so that brings us into stage strategy. And I love this. Nicole, you're such an expert at this. And I love, one of the things we're going to talk about is seeding your CTA early. And I love that. I'm just learning this. And so it's something you really have to practice to get good at, but I love that part of it. Um, let's take it from there, Nicole.
Yeah, so what we're talking about is those expectations during your talk, right? So I just use the stages that I build for clients and the stages that I build for myself, and even workshops. What expectation are you setting? So coming in here, we talk about when we get on the stage. I just use this podcast because here you've been on this journey with us. What are we talking about today? What takeaways can you expect from today? What highlights can you expect from today? Are you getting your pen and your paper ready? And are you having, is it a write or down or do you need to put something down? You should have that. Here's the expectations because even with the master class we just had last night with Laura Doman, and she's talking about, boring equals broke, right? If you're boring on camera, you're not animated, you're not talking to the camera, or you're not giving good information and there's no fluctuation in your voice, or you're really monotone, right? Are you basically a boring person on camera because you are talking, I know, to yourself, but you should feel like you're talking to a friend, so it's easier with a co-host. Even when you're doing master classes in that manner, you still want to set the expectations for people. Hey, this is going to be about a 2 hour master class, a 2 hour workshop, a 2 hour summit, whatever the thing is. Here's what we're covering today. We'd love for you to come off camera. If you can't, at least participate in the chat because people are multitasking. Guess what? They're going to do that. Whether you like it or not, that's what you're going to do. Also, if you're setting the expectation that, hey, this is a hands-on class, you came here to learn. It's not just to sit back and listen to the great story that's getting told right now, but you came to a workshop, expect to work, right? So set those expectations. Let people know. Let's flip the script and let people know it's time that they can join. It's time right now in this workshop that they're going to get a takeaway, that if they're writing something down, if there's a PDF attached, if there's a video you're going to show that you put together that's about maybe a minute, 2 minutes at the most long of, hey, I want you to do this video. I'm going to seed it out. Here's what's in this video. We're going to talk today about being visible. We're going to talk about the use of the camera today. So that I put this presentation together. It's something that has been received good response. And here's what the expectation is from this video. Then we're going to get it back into it and we'll go for Q&A. You want to actually get something, somebody's given a free workshop, or even if you're paying for it, participate in it. If you can't be on the camera at all times, you have to get up to grab your tea or use the restroom. You are human. It's okay. But participate. Go with a sense that you're going to participate in something and ask questions. I did have somebody come through a workshop and they signed up on LinkedIn and they were kind enough to join and accept the invitation and then show up. But the funny thing was, hey, what brought you here today? Oh, you did. Okay, how did we connect? Oh, we connected on LinkedIn. Oh, all right. What was the, what provoked you to come today to this particular topic in this workshop? Um, oh, well, I connected. I thought I'd come in and support. Awesome. Hopefully you get something that you can take away for your business. If not, thanks for being here. Let people know. Don't cut people out. And that's what we have to do is we have to have communication, and the communication also works both ways. You know me, I'm going to tell you the truth, what happens behind the scenes. I was at a workshop last week and I felt that I was being scolded by one of the speakers. I know that they were excited. I know that they thought that the sales that they were talking about in the presentation was important. It was. They had incredible amounts, probably 20 plus years of salesmanship. But every time the other speaker spoke, they interrupted. Oh, no, no, that's wrong. That's wrong. You didn't do this. You didn't have all this. You need to do this. Nobody does this. Nobody wants to hear that. Nobody's buying into that. I want to talk to you. I want you to be passionate. But if you're going to come in and tell me how wrong I am, obviously I'm wrong because I decided to come here and know that I need to learn something. So remember, there's a kindness to it. There are truths that need to be told. Don't mince your words. But as well as, are people going to tune you out? Are people going to leave your event? Are people not going to come back because you told them that they were incredibly stupid and wrong? So that's not the way to approach it. So approach it with that you're sharing something with them that, hey, this is a mistake some people make, and it's okay if you did because I did. And that's where I always come from. So you want to share with people what the talk is about. You want to share with people and let them ask the questions and say, hey, we're not going to address that right now. We will address that in the next part of this. Or, hey, that's not the question we need to answer. Remember who you're talking to. Remember that you're talking to people that are potential clients of yours, or maybe have joined you in a partnership somewhere and you want to keep them. So you don't want to drive them out. So remember that you're going to keep them with some love. You're going to give them some great points. You're going to give them some bold truths on maybe some mistakes that are made in the industry, but you're going to do it with some fun and some laughs. And also seed your CTA.
Oh,
Because
yes.
people say a lot of times, stay for the end of the master class and I'm going to give you a bonus of value. Well, there's always going to be the one person in their room that doesn't want to hear the sales pitch. You should sales pitch because it is, you spent a lot of time with it, but they don't want to hear it. So they'll probably leave. There is the other person that can only stay for a few minutes, but might want to hear more. Ask them to jump on the call. Say, hey, I've got a great value I'm going to share with you today. I will share it a little bit later, but hey, this is the new thing. Like I would say the other day on the podcast and yesterday in the workshop, I let people know. I alluded to, hey, within this next week, there's going to be a list for events. And of course, I'm plugging this for Voice Lab as well, but it's an example that there's going to be a list coming up soon that if you have events that you want to share, that you need speakers for, if you have podcasts that you want to partner with, that you need guests for, we're going to share a list of that. That's coming up soon. But I'm seeding it. I'm plugging it, I'm seeding it, and I'm marketing it. Hey, I've got a great thing. I've got a list. Maybe at the end of the workshop, maybe you're talking about guest speaking spots. At the end of this workshop, I'm going to talk a little bit more about the list of guest speaking spots that are coming up in the Voice Lab on the school platform. So you're going to want to tune in for that. There's going to be a little bit more. Let them know, hey, it's coming back. Stay after the commercial. We're back in 2 and 2, right? Chuck used to do that. This is what we're going to talk about on the other side. So seeding that call to action. And then, of course, you want to reinforce with value. The next step. What do you want to tell people? You constantly want to remind them that this is step one. We're getting into step two, and this is what we're going to do. And you want to speak it again. The key has always been 3 times. You want to say it magically, right? The phone number in those old commercials, when people give out the phone number, the formula still works the same. Hey, 702-555-5555. That number again. And then you're going to want to repeat it 3 times, and then you're going to want to repeat it again. And so seeding that throughout. It's just like when you were talking about, Colleen, the email. The three links that I was talking about are only in the top portion. That's not all the links that are on the bottom of the page. So there's separate sections. So upcoming events, there's a couple links there. Get on a call with me. There's two links there. Get into my Facebook. There's a couple links there. So there's several links seated throughout so people can just get click happy and find out a little bit more about me. But this is really what we're looking at when this all comes around. And then workshops and master classes should absolutely be a desire and not just to deliver info. Interact with people. Interact with people. People are there that nobody wants those pre-recorded workshops. They don't want the audio. They don't want, unless they're in a class with you, they may want that later because a lot of people podcast, they listen at the gym. But what is the quality that you're bringing? So if it's a lot of Q&A and it's not just information, it may be a little bit, that may be a variable. But look at that people are interactive and that they feel that they're learning something. There's something that they can take away. Talk to them. Don't talk at them. Talk to them, engage with them, and then they'll come back for more. And those workshops need to go on a few times so people can know that they're going to learn something from you, right?
Absolutely. And I love what you're saying about seating your CTA early and not just at the end. And one of the ways that I try to do that is to say to people throughout, hey, if you have any questions, go ahead and write those down. Take note of those, and then let's get on a call and I'll answer those directly. I'd love to sit and talk to you about those. And then also when you're reinforcing the things that you've already said, you can always say, okay, so we just went over this and these three steps that go with it. And now we're moving on to this, and then we're going to get into this. And then when you get to the end of the second section, you say, okay, to start with, we started with a simplification and we went over these three things. And then we covered automation. And now we have covered those three things in automation. And now we're looking at delegation or whatever your third section is, and you move on. But just bringing back to them, bringing them full circle again and again and again is the repetitiveness that you need to make sure that they understand the value and the consistency. And I think right here, let's talk a little bit. We talked about the 5 to 7 touch points, and those come after your post event. Those can come when you take your leads and plug them into your CRM. Now, you're also going to take the actual event. Take notes during the event and take those things that stood out to you or questions that people asked and go back to your email workflow and edit them a little bit to include those so that what you're doing is you're carrying on the storyline. You're continuing what was important to that specific audience during your time on stage, right? You want to be able to continue that thing so they stay and remember. So when they open your email, it's not an email about what you talked about. It's actually specifically about the questions or examples that were given right then. So it's still top of mind to them. It's just repeating again what you just went through, right? And then your CRM can track your engagement levels. And that's super important to make sure that you have that. And then also have your automations built out so that you can re-engage anytime people don't interact with you right away.
Right. Absolutely. You want to continue the story. You want to remind them of what went through. And there was a lot of a misnomer, and we're just about out of time. This has been a great conversation, and thank you for being patient with us today. We had a bit of a few hiccups with some Wi-Fi and some storms and whatever else was going on today. But that's the power of consistency and working on. So do remember that this is, you want to continue the story. The storyline is important. The connection is important. So always follow up and reconnect. And that is what we're doing, is we're building the trust, we're building the value, and we're really truly educating people, in this journey. All right, guys, have a great day. We will see you Monday for Monday morning business foreplay.
You bet. Have a
All
good
right.
one.